what's up? Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna do a garden update. I haven't done one in a little while, and if you've been keeping up with a lot of the like drama that's been going on in my life via like Facebook or whatever, then you'd probably understand why I haven't been keeping up with this stuff. But I really like doing this, so I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. So a lot has happened. Once upon a time, we couldn't grow anything. I thought I had a black thumb, but I guess we can break the mold because it's green now. Anyway, so I started growing something over here once upon a time, just back in that little corner. I don't know if you remember. It was, I thought I was relocating pumpkins, and it does look like there's more than one variety of stuff growing out there. But anyway, so it turns out we have some sort of, looks like a squash growing out here in large amounts. Like, we're gonna not have problems with squash. And the only squash I ever intended to grow was butternut. So I think that's what it is, which I started growing because it's what I grew up eating, thanks to my mother and my New England heritage, I guess. And I guess I did some research once upon a time, and I guess part of like why certain settlers moved up to that area of the country was because of butternut squash, because it grows apparently the best in like Canada and parts of northeastern America, but I've been surprised at the amount of different types of things that will grow here. My little tree experiment has gone practically nowhere, but I did learn a little bit. Anyway, some of these are just going to pretty much die off and not make it at all because they've got nowhere to put their roots, but that's okay because it was a learning experience about trees and stuff. My herb garden was about to do what it did that one time when it died off because it got so hot that it just couldn't retain water, but thankfully I just got done watering everything and I may have saved it. I'm probably going to have to keep up with it and water it more than once, but yeah, these things have been flourishing. That's cool. I mean, everything has. This, I still have no idea what it is. If anybody can identify it, I thought it was rosemary. It's definitely not at this point because I've since been working with real rosemary and I know that's not it, but it's still kind of a cool little thing and I want to know what it is. But I can't Google it, I can't figure it out. Down here is a little something that I thought was all gourds, and some of it still might be because that's all that I planted there originally, but there's some other things going on and I'll show you what that is. Also, I want to thank everybody for their love and support and their prayers and, you know, all the kind words and everything, because there's lots of people that, you know, they care and they know that we're struggling and they want to see us do better, and looks like we're gonna more than likely be alright, so, you know, I'll keep everyone up to date on that, but things are happening. Anyway, turns out these trees, these silver maples or whatever, they love to grow in one particular area. Right here, through these rocks, like really well, where I guess underneath there is a neutral dirt. There's not really any soil, you know, no nutrients or nitrogen, you know, it's just a very plain dirt with no real organic content in it, and well, that's where they want to grow. This, I'm pretty sure, is sweet potatoes, this bent over huge stock thing, because I only attempted to grow two types of potatoes over here, which potatoes grow on a stock thing like this, you know, it's the roots. So I grew sweet potatoes, which I'm pretty sure is this huge one, and then russet potatoes, which are these little tiny ones over here. And they're doing plenty fine, so I'm excited about that. I could have done something to hold it up, but it's alright, you know. Okay, so out of the same box grows something that I didn't plant. I have no idea how it got there, and this is a very common theme around here. I guess nature just kind of moves things around as it pleases, but so let's see if I can find one. Here we go. I'm pretty sure that is a watermelon, and I'm excited about that because I tried to grow watermelon over in the main garden bed, if you recall, but it failed, and I promised Justine some watermelon, so thankfully I'll be able to supply that, or provide that. Butterfly. So we have had no shortage of tomatoes, thankfully. That's one thing that I did in a good way, I guess, kind of, is I grew a lot of tomatoes, and we've been eating them. I've been making sauces, and I need to perfect my sauce recipe. But for the most part, we haven't had to buy a single can of tomato sauce in a while, which is cool. So, but I could have done a lot better, I think, if I would have, when I started out, if I would have invested more money into the tomato cages. These things would be you know, holding themselves up a lot better. But my grapevine is just doing amazing. It's climbing this thing like you wouldn't believe, and it's putting out other little vines, and it's just making me happy, because I guess I could always make wine. I don't know. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. This should be just gourds, but, and it still might be, but let me see if I can find one. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. There we go. Looks like a watermelon to me by the color and whatever, but I've seen gourds that look like everything, so who knows. Maybe there's a gourd, or maybe it's more watermelon. That'd be cool, but I did not intend for watermelon to grow there. Over here, where watermelon was supposed to grow, pumpkins were growing, and they grew way too much, and then they got to the point where they started growing out of the garden and into other places, and I was just unhappy with it. So, but I kept like folding it over on itself until now it's like this jungle of dead vines, and spiders love to live in there, and I gotta be careful where I step and touch, but whatever. Over here, this is the heirloom tomatoes. They grow huge, and if I let them grow too big, they like split open and grow in on themselves and do all sorts of weird stuff. So, but they're delicious. We've had them. I gotta keep picking them. There's lots of huge ones in there. Okay, so that's tomatoes, watermelon, squash, pumpkins. And if I head down this way, somewhere where I didn't plant a single thing, this, I did not put this here. It just started growing. This is, I guess, it looks like another different type of gourds, or maybe even squash. I don't know. I'm just kind of letting it be, but I've had to cut it. I've had to cut some of this stuff down because it's just getting way too outrageous. But so I just don't know how it got here, because it's not growing from over there. It just starts over here, like it would have come out of this little this is from the gutter, you know, the roof gutter. So, but you know, that would mean that a seed would have had to be brought up onto the roof, dropped in the gutter, made it all the way down, came underground through a little tunnel, comes out here and lands there. So I did not put something there, or an animal could have carried it or whatever, but there's no way rainwater would have carried it perfectly through these rocks, and there's like a little wooden border over there and all sorts of stuff. Just, the cards aren't there for that thing, but somehow it got here and it's doing things, and I'm gonna let it. So then over here, my neighbor has been growing raspberries, and the raspberry bushes put out little runners, and he told me that if any runners come up on my side, then they are my raspberry bush. And that's cool, because here was the first one that came up, and it's huge. And there is one there, one over here, so there's a couple of them. And yeah, I definitely made soil over here. I told this dirt to be fertile and said, you know, let there be raspberries, and there were. So that's kind of cool. Yep. Like I said, I keep trying to cut this stuff down because it's getting outrageous, and you know, if I had more space, I would just let it grow and just kind of guide it. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before, but you know, they try to explain that the stems of plants are like pipes that carry water, and you really can't demonstrate that on most plants, but in this case, the scale, it just, here, I'm gonna rip one of these off, but So if you're looking at this, it's like, it really is like a big tube full of water, and that's kind of cool to me, because, yeah. But, yeah, if nothing else, that's all just going to become compost. I don't expect to be here like all that long. Hopefully, Justine gets orders pretty soon and we go somewhere. But yeah. So, but it's all been a big learning experience, and you know, the next person to live here will have some nice, you know, fertile areas to grow things or whatever. Or I'm just gonna find a lot of work to get rid of stuff. Strawberries and blueberries. Blueberries have not been doing a whole lot. They've been putting out branches and growing larger, but there hasn't been any blossoms yet, and I don't think there's going to be at this point. Strawberries, on the other hand, because they are a everbearing, they have been growing their little flowers, which, if you don't know anything about strawberries, in the middle of that is what becomes the actual fruit eventually. But I have to keep picking them off, and every time it tries to put out its runners, which is how it reproduces, which will be one of these guys, I have to rip them off too for at least, there's one, for at least a year, so it can build up a nice strong root system, which is a normal thing to do, because you want the plant to be a lot stronger and be able to feed a lot more nutrients to the fruit. So next year, more than likely, if we end up moving, hopefully I'll be able to take some of that with me or whatever. But I don't know. Whatever. But so that's it. Sorry, I'm kind of lost for words. But so that's my life so far. The garden, everything. Strange fruits and gourds and peace.